back. Welcome to another week of Coach's Corner. After the bye week, Coach Hand and I back to talk about the Thomas More game. The Titans fell 17-3, but we will recap that. We'll also talk about W&J this week. Got a player interview with Josh Bira, and we have Steve Brink's Pack Report, so stay tuned to that. But right now, let's take a look at the first half highlights. Back to pass. He'll be sacked for a loss of 7 yards on the play, loses it, but Buggy picks it up, and they get it back. Buggy now on a 3rd and 18, runs this one for 11 yards. Nice run, but the Titans would still have to punt. Thomas More now with the football, forced into an early 4th and 1 situation. Tyran Thompson picks it up with this 2-yard run, and now Nate Berkeley back to pass. Snap's going to go over his head. He'll lose 17 yards. Adam Hababney finally brings him down. Now he's back to pass, going to find Andy Heinel for 18 yards up to the Westminster 44, but this one's going to come back on an illegal Thomas More block, and they would go back to the ground. Tyran Thompson trying to run. Handhold tackles him, loss of 5 yards on the play. Titans get it back. Eddie Williams coughs it up and gives it back to Thomas More. Tyran Thompson now is going to take the pitch to the right-hand side, but he can't get anywhere. He slips. Loss of 4. Credit the tackle to Greg Piper on the play. Nate Berkeley now trying the same thing. Can't get anywhere. Ryan Shamor rips him down, and they would have to try a field goal. Brian Shealy from 37 yards out, wide left. No points for Thomas More. They get the football back, though. Tyran Thompson trying to run. He's brought down again by Ryan Shamora, and another nice defensive play here as Nate Berkeley trying to pass up top to Chase Weber. Matt Tynell watches left hand, knocks it out. Again, no points for Thomas More. Christopher here trying to run. Loss of a yard on the play. Nice tackle by Jerry Bonenberger. Titans get it back, but they're going to fumble. Sean Buggy coughs it up this time, gives it back to Thomas More. And watch Tanner Larson here at the bottom of your screen. Nice job coming off the block. Brings down Tyran Thompson for a loss of a yard on the play. And Nate Berkeley, though, finds Andy Heinel for 11 yards down to the Westminster 6-yard line, setting up this, a 26-yard Brian Shealy field goal to end the first half. At the end of the first half, 3-0 Thomas More. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. Jason Mackey and Coach Hand here to talk about the first half. Thomas More on top, 3-0. And Coach, in games like this, you hear people say maybe one more quarter we would have had them, maybe a little bit longer. Was this the case in this game?
No, I mean it was just a matter of it was a close game, and they made the big play when they had to. We were losing field position. I don't believe we won the field position battle in that game, and then they came up with the big play, and we couldn't make the big play.
Now, early on in the game, the passing game struggled a little bit. I don't think the Titan quarterbacks completed a pass, but does the not completing the short passes, that scare you at all?
No, it doesn't scare me. It was a concern at the time, though. I mean, it was definitely something that should not have happened. From the very first play, from scrimmage, we should have started the game with a completion, and we should have completed a few more. But that's something that we've really emphasized and we're getting better at.
Now, we see the Titans throwing a lot of short hooks, short outs. Is there going to be any changes this coming week against W&J in the passing game, like throwing over the middle anymore?
Not really. I mean, the way defenses play coverage now, they really try to take away the middle. But we do have routes that go across the middle, but if they're open, we need to throw them. And it's just a matter of we've been throwing the shorter routes and more of the perimeter passes.
Now, in this game, we saw defensive end Matt Handhold go down with a knee injury, I believe it was. What's his status for this week and the weeks upcoming?
Oh, I think he'll be pretty close to 100% Saturday, and he had a nice practice yesterday, and we expect him to be 98% today, and then hopefully 100% by Saturday.
All right, also, Jason Lundmark, we saw in the game, kicked a 21-yard field goal. We'll see that in the second half, but Chris Castillo did not play. What's his status for this week? Is he going to be available?
Oh, he's available. Yeah, there's no doubt, and he'll be called upon if needed, and as well as Jason. They're both fine kickers, and we definitely are learning what each of them do well.
Now, sorry to keep in the training room here, but I know another situation, Josh Kutzner. He's been practicing this week, apparently.
Yeah, he has, and he's looking better each day, and hopefully we'll be able to get some time on Saturday.
No, this game seemed like the only game so far that the offensive line really wasn't getting a consistent surge for the running game. No, is this something that you assessed as well? What was your assessment of the running game?
The running game was not where it needed to be on Saturday, and running game, it's one of those things where we have our plays that we know we're going to run, and then we have what I call niche plays that are going to fit our personnel better. We haven't found our niche plays yet, and our offensive line did not play as well as we expected them to play against Thomas More. And our fullbacks didn't play as well as we expected them to play.
Now, you talk about those niche plays. How long typically does it take a team or a back to find those niche plays?
Well, those niche plays are, kind of plays that are going to be best with our personnel. We've been trying a few wrinkles to our base plays, and we've been trying to work on them. How long it'll take, I'm not sure. I mean, it's just a matter of everyone believing in what we're doing as far as our base plays and then getting those niche plays to work.
All right, well, at this point, the Titans are down 3-0 after the Brian Shealy field goal. Let's see what happens in the second half as we look at the second half highlights. All right, we pick it up here in the second half after a controversial Titan onside kick. They get it back. Brett Myers in a quarterback now runs this one for 2 yards, but a personal foul on Thomas More will give the Titans the first down. Myers will be back to pass again here, but doesn't see anything, tucks it and runs. Picks up 13 yards, good for the Titan first down. Setting up this, Jason Lundmark from 21 yards out. It's up and it's good. The Titans tie the score at 3 apiece now. Thomas More back on offense, and the biggest play on offense so far in the game. Chase Weber on the reverse, 32 yards all the way to the Westminster 43-yard line, and they would keep it on the ground. Tyran Thompson here trying to go somewhere, but he doesn't. Adam Hababney rips him down for a loss of 2. Nate Berkeley is going to try to throw it now to Dan Hartman, connects for 20 yards down to the Westminster 10-yard line, but Thomas More still would not get any points out of it. As 4th and goal, Nate Berkeley is going to be sacked for a loss of 6 yards on the play. Chris Dulovich gets credit for it there. Titans back on offense. Sean Buggy, 10-yard run there up to the Westminster 21-yard line. And right here, the guest of our show today, Brett Myers completes the pass to Josh Bureau. This one good for 4 yards, but the Titans would still have to punt on the drive. Giving it back to Thomas More. Berkeley back to pass. Connects on a pair to Dan Hartman. That one good for 10 yards, setting up another Brian Shealy field goal attempt. This one from 37 yards out. Again, he misses it. This one wide right, but Thomas More gets it back. Nate Berkeley back to pass, finds his man Andy Heinel. The big play, 61 yards, and you can call it a touchdown. Thomas More goes on top 10-3. And the Titans would try to answer. Andy Heinel's kickoff goes to the Westminster 5, but Buggy takes it. He's going to bring it out 25 yards up to the Westminster 30. Titans with decent field position here to start this drive. They could not get anything going, though. Myers back to pass. He'll be sacked eventually. A loss of 16 on the play. And as I said, the Titans had to punt. Westminster back on another possession. Myers completes this one to Sean Buggy, 8 yards up to the Westminster 37, and bad snap again. Brett Myers fumbles. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 29. They're not able to convert on the drive. Now, Colbert's going to take this handoff 47 yards out all the way to the end zone and pretty much seal it for Thomas More. They're on top now at this point, 17-3. Westminster gets it back and tries to mount some offense, but not too much doing here. Myers, a nice completion to Jake Buzzard for 12 yards, but the last play of the game, Brett Myers will be intercepted by Chris Willis at the Thomas More 10-yard line. Score at the end of the game, Thomas More 17, Westminster 3. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. You just see the Titans fell 17-3 to the Thomas More Saints. But, Coach, talk about the second half. We saw Brett Myers come into the game for J.R. Barley. Now, is this a permanent change? What's going on for this week with the quarterback situation?
No, it's not a permanent change. And excuse me, we have two very good quarterbacks in J.R. and Brett. J.R. is the quarterback. It's going to be out on the field first. And in all intents and purposes, we hope he is the quarterback that stays on the field. And if he gets the job done and is making good reads and being a good leader in the huddle, that's a quarterback that we'll stay with.
Now, to start the second half, the Titans went with an onside kick. Was this something that was planned, or did it just kind of happen that way with Lundmark's short kick?
No, it was a called play. It was definitely something we felt. We were playing pretty good defense at the time, and we felt that they were giving it to us to some degree. It wasn't totally there, but sometimes you have to roll the dice.
Now, the running backs, Eddie Williams and Sean Buggy, we saw them fumble. Buggy's fumble there in the second half, Williams in the first, both after big plays, after big punts. Is this something that worries you? Did you emphasize this in practice at all this week?
Oh, that's something that's always emphasized. I mean, turnovers are something that aren't acceptable, but it's something that your past cannot spoil the future. I mean, it's something that you have to learn from and move on. And you know, most of the time when things like that happen, the best way to cure that is get the ball right back in their hands, and make them make a big play.
Now, if we go back to the training room questions a little bit, Justin Decker and Shane Parker both injured in the game. What is their status for this week and the rest of the season?
Decker will be back this week. Looks good. Parker still a little bit in question. Probably will not see him on Saturday.
Now, on a more positive note, Chris Dulovich has stepped in on the defensive line and really done a great job, 6-yard sack there. You know, how impressed have you been this season with his play?
Great. I mean, he's done a real nice job. And I can remember the first time I met Chris. He was borderline whether he was going to be out for the first 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks in his terminology as far as a hamstring injury over the summer. But our athletic trainers really worked with him and got him back pretty quickly, and Chris has taken advantage of the opportunity. Still has plenty of things to work on, but I think we're pleasantly surprised by his efforts.
It was a tough loss, 17-3 to Thomas More, obviously, when they went to the bye week. In practice, do you go back and kind of rip apart things and start changing some stuff, or just you stick with the basics and just work on that?
What we do is quite simply, you know, with our computer system and video system that we have, we take a look at each and every play, and we look for fundamental things that we need to correct, and then we correct those things in practice during the bye week, and start to take a look at the next opponent to some extent, but really the next opponent preparation is really still a 1-week preparation because the way the video film comes in, it only arrives 1 week ahead of time.
All right, well, the Titans' record is now 2-2 and 0-1 in the Pack. We're going to take a short break. Steve Brink has the Pack Report. We'll preview W&J in a minute, but stay tuned to Coach's Corner.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
The Lawrence County Humane Society believes in the safety of spaying and neutering your animals. Spaying and neutering can have many long-term benefits.
We at the Lawrence County Humane Society believe that all animals should be spayed or neutered. Many reasons why, but the biggest reason is that they will be a happier, healthier pet. Also, it alleviates the overpopulation problem.
Getting your animals spayed and neutered is one huge step in making sure that more animals are healthy and find loving homes.
I'm the best thing you ever had. Only thing I'm guilty of is giving you too much love, making you crazy, making you rap, making me follow me, making me suspect. Seem to think I'm playing her game. Don't you know her? This is me.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
Another edition of the Pack Report after our long 2-week layoff. So let's get things started by taking a look at the overall standings. And yeah, that's not a typo. Teal is in first place with a perfect 4-0 record. Thomas More and W&J are tied for second and 4-1, followed by Waynesburg and Westminster at 2-2, and Grove City and Bethany are at the bottom of the conference. But now we got to take a look at what really matters, and that is the conference standings. Thomas More remains unbeaten at 4-0. As they took down another Pack foe in Waynesburg last weekend. Teal's upset over W&J moves them into sole possession of second place at 2-0. Grove City got a nice conference win Saturday, putting them in third place. W&J, Waynesburg, Westminster, they are all tied for fourth place in the conference at 0-1. And Bethany is in the cellar yet again with an 0-3 mark. Now we're going to take a look at what happened around the conference last week, and we got to start with quite possibly the game of the year as the nationally ranked Washington and Jefferson Presidents fell at home on homecoming to Pac rival Teal 38-35 in overtime. Despite throwing for 328 yards and 4 touchdowns, W&J quarterback Chris Edwards was picked off 5 times, including once in overtime, to help pave the way for the Tomcat victory. Saturday was the first time Teal defeated the Presidents since 1981. W&J falls all the way to number 16th in the national rankings, according to D3Football.com. Teal was unranked last week, but they are now 22nd. Grove City evens their record at 1-1 in the conference as they defeated Bethany 21-12 on Saturday. It was the first time in 5 years that the Wolverines won on homecoming. Grove City running back Matt Wheel scored his only touchdown of the day with just under 2.5 minutes to play to seal the victory for the Wolverines. And in the third Pac matchup that took place last week, Thomas More eked out another conference game as they defeated Waynesburg by a score of 13-7. Ryan Abels moved into 4th place on the Waynesburg all-time rushing list, but his 156 yards weren't enough to carry the Yellow Jackets to victory. Saints linebacker Rashawn West might have made the play of the year as he caught Abels from behind just in front of the goal line to prevent a touchdown late in the 4th quarter. Waynesburg came away with 0 points on the possession. Now moving right along, it is time to acknowledge the PAC offensive and defensive players in the week, and we're going to start with the offense. Grove City running back Matt Wheel gets the nod. I mentioned him a little bit earlier, but Wheel rushed for a career-high 162 yards on 31 carries. He had only 1 touchdown, but wow, was it huge. The sophomore ran for the game-clinching score with just under 2.5 minutes to play as Grove City won against Bethany. Switching sides to the defense, this week's top defender is Rashawn West. The Thomas More linebacker had 10 tackles and 2 quarterback hurries. West now has 47 tackles on the season, which is good enough for 4th best in the conference. Now, of course, only 2 can be named PAC Players of the Week, but here on the PAC Report, we like to send out some love to 5 other top performers around the conference, and here's this week's edition of the Fantastic 5. Coming in at number 5, Bethany wideout T.J. Parker. Parker caught 6 passes for 160 yards, and it's also the 3rd time this season in which Parker has caught at least 2 touchdown passes in a game. W&J wide receiver Aaron Krebs is in at number 4. The PAC's leading receiver caught 10 balls for 149 yards, and 1 touchdown. Number 3 is Waynesburg running back Ryan Abels. Abels rushed for 156 yards on only 15 carries with 1 score. And a couple of Tomcats control the top 2 spots. Stephen Minton ran for 138 yards with 2 touchdowns to take the number 2 spot. And this week's top performer was junior defensive back Darius Thompson. Thompson only had 5 tackles for Teal on Saturday, but he had a huge interception in overtime to pave the way for the Tomcat victory. Now, coming up this week, we have 3 more conference matchups to look forward to. Grove City tries to catch Teal sleeping after an upset win last week as Grove City travels to Greenville to take on the Tomcats. It is the 22nd time the 2 schools have battled for the annual Mercer County Cup. Grove City holds a 14-7 advantage in these battles. Thomas More is off this week, but Westminster is back in action after their bye week. The Titans host the Washington and Jefferson Presidents Saturday. W&J rolled off 40 unanswered points in last year's meeting to break a 14-14 tie. Westminster hasn't beaten W&J since 2000. And finally, Waynesburg travels to Bethany this Saturday. Bethany wide receiver T.J. Parker needs 1 touchdown catch to tie the single-season school record for most touchdown catches in a season. And another receiving record to note, Waynesburg Ivan Hawkins needs only 4 catches to become the school's all-time leader in passing receptions. And now it's the moment you've all been waiting for, the updated standings for the NFL Pick'em Challenge. It's just so exciting, isn't it? But actually, there has been a lot to talk about lately. I'm still in last place, obviously, but wait, is that? Yeah, that's right. Jason is no longer in first place as he falls to 2nd. Big thanks to Coach Hand for overtaking the top spot, as now I don't have to listen to Jason brag for at least a few more days, which is always good. Here are the 6 games we'll be choosing from this week. Jason has had a real tough time picking the winner of the Jacksonville games this year, so I think we're just going to keep them in the lineup every week. That does it for this week's edition of the PAC Report. Now let's kick it over to Brentwood's finest, Jason Mackey.
All right, thank you, Steve. I'm here with tight end Josh Biro, senior out of Poland, Ohio. And Josh, a couple weeks ago you had your first touchdown catch against Hiram. Now walk us through what was going on with this one.
Well, earlier in the week we put that play in. We ran it a few times in practice. It was open in practice. It's a play action, so I knew that if the secondary would bite up on the run, it'd be open. Sure enough, it was.
Now, 0-1 start in PAC play after the loss to Thomas More this past week. As a senior, what does the team need to do to get this first PAC win on Saturday and for the rest of the season?
Well, that's it, team. You said it. Play as a team. I feel the past few weeks we've been getting better and better in practice, so I feel we're improving, and we're going to get that win.
Now, how tough was it, homecoming? You know, you got to go out with a loss, but does that make you guys any more hungry for this coming week?
It makes us very hungry. A lot of players come back to watch you play, a lot of alumni, so it's tough. I mean, it's tough to go out that way, but we'll be all right. We moved on, and we're looking forward to W&J.
And if we talk strictly offense here against W&J, what does the offense need to do better in this game to pick up more than 3 points?
I feel we're improving in the running game. We had a great week of practice running, so I feel if we could run the ball, pound it on them, you know, keep our defense off the field, we need to do more, help out our defense. I think we'll be all right.
Now, you talked about a great week of practice. Obviously, you guys had really 2 weeks of practice with the bye week, but what's the mood of the team been? What's it been like in the locker room?
It's been kind of, like you said, hungry. We're very hungry. We're ready to take on W&J. We don't have a good feeling with this team. I mean, you know, it's a big rivalry. We don't like them, they don't like us, so we're ready to play this game.
Now, you mentioned what a big game this is, and it really is. W&J, obviously one of the best teams around. Is it any different preparing for the Presidents, you know, even pre-game routines in practice? Is it any different?
I felt this week, in the past 4 years I've been here, this week, you start on Monday, Tuesday, and we start practicing, it's much more intense. It's a very intense week. I think practices are hyped up a little more, so it's exciting.
Now, tight end, part of the blocking scheme, obviously a big part of the offensive line in the running game. With the coaching change, how much have the blocking schemes changed from last year to this year?
I think last year it was more of a man-on-man up front. Now it's more of a zone. It's all rule-oriented, so everything falls into place.
Now, the Bureau bunch, obviously, we got to talk about. I know you're going to start getting all embarrassed, but is this something that's embarrassing for you? You kind of like it, think it's cool?
It's not that it's embarrassing. I'm very appreciative of it. I'm the type of person, more of a team player. I don't like a whole lot of attention to myself. I like to direct them more towards the team. So, I mean, I'm just appreciative of it. You know, it brings out fans to root for the team. So that's how I feel.
How did it start?
My roommate from last year, Mark Francasio, started out as a joke. And he told me he was going to do it. I didn't think he was going to do it, but sure enough, a few days later, he had a box full of shirts, and it went from there.
It's been 2 years running, different color shirts, all kinds of stuff. But, well, that does it for our player interview. Thank you, Josh. We're going to take a short break, and Coach and I will be back to talk about this coming week's game against the Presidents after this on Coach's Corner.
Crackhead, drug dealer, gang member, all kicked out of the community with the help of kids
like me.
You can help prevent crime. Call 1-800-722-TEENS to find out how.
It's time we're judged by what we do,
not how we look.
Hi everybody, this is Tim McGraw for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. You know, I spend a lot of time on the road and I see some funny things out there, but one thing that's not so funny is someone who's about to drive drunk. So take the keys and be a friend, because friends don't let friends drive drunk.
I wasn't going to school because I was making money stealing cars. Well, I was 10 when I first got involved with drugs. I skipped school because, you know, nobody cared.
When I first got pregnant, school was not important to me, so I dropped out.
Well, if I don't finish school, then I can't go to college. I mean, that's the whole point of what I want to do with my life.
I still need to go to school to make it for myself.
I think I'm happier now. I know I'm happier now.
All right, welcome back to Coach's Corner, everyone. We're going to talk about W&J right now. And, Coach, anytime you talk about this President team, really got to start with their quarterback, Chris Edwards. Big, strong, accurate kid.
Very good quarterback, All-American. And last year I felt that he really deserved that honor of All-American. I mean, he did a nice job of being poised in the pocket. He wasn't rattled. He delivered the ball well, and took what the defenses gave him.
Now, if we stay with the W&J offense, Aaron Krebs, number 7, is a player you're going to have to worry about. And, you know, they do a lot of different things with him. How do you really account for him at all times on the field?
Well, there's you have to be aware of where Aaron Krebs is on the field for sure, but he's not their only threat. I mean, they have 3 other receivers that are very good, and they have 2 running backs that are very good as well. You have to play sound defense against all of their formations, but you do have to be aware of where he is on the field formationally.
Now, W&J fell last week 38-35, obviously, to Teal, as Steve said. Do you feel that this makes them any more vulnerable this week or more dangerous?
Well, it depends. I mean, I think that you know, that one of the keys of this game is if you can get a team that's lost a close game like that, if you can get them on the ropes and get them to the point that they were unsuccessful in their prior attempt, get them thinking about that, you know, then good things can happen. But they're a great program and they're a great team and have obviously rebounded from things like this before.
Now, we've had some very good games with W&J over the years. The Titans' last win coming in 2000, I believe, 1917, down in Washington. But, you know, there's no love lost here in this rivalry.
No, I mean, it's definitely, you know, the team to beat right now. Obviously, it's the next game, but it's a huge game. A lot of people, you know, will mark that on their calendar, a Westminster and W&J game, especially, you know, in certain years. And but no, there isn't any love loss.
Now, you've beaten this team before down at Waynesburg, have a win under your belt. What's it take to beat the Presidents?
Well, you have to be able to come out and get up on them a little bit. I do believe in that. You have to get up on them a little bit. You have to get them thinking and questioning about what they're doing. And you cannot let them get comfortable. If they get to the point where they're comfortable and they have more than a 2-touchdown lead, then they have the ability, and they have a good-sized offensive line, and they have some good running backs that they can just run the ball and play keep away from you. Mm-hmm. But you know, they don't feel comfortable until they have that 3-touchdown lead. And if you can stick with them or get up on them, anything can happen.
The last year's game, Westminster W&J, Westminster fell 54-14 down in Cameron Stadium, but they have that field turf, and Bury Stadium is obviously natural grass, probably a bit of a slower surface. Do you feel that this plays into your hands in any way?
You know, to be honest, I mean, that's probably something that, you know, sports reporters talk about more than coaches, and you know, we don't get too caught up on the surface we're playing on. You know, a field's a field to us, and we love our field. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's more that it's a home game more than the surface.
Now, you talked about W&J having a lot of multiple weapons on offense, and they're going to line up in 4 or 5 receiver sets. What's best to cover this manner zone?
Oh, you have to give them a lot of different looks. You know, a quarterback that has the ability that Chris Edwards does, you have to give him a few different looks, and you have to be very sound in your coverages. And we have to play good pass defense, and we will play man and zone against them.
Now, you talked about giving different looks. Do you mean with like different kinds of blitzes, switching from man to zone? What do you mean exactly about the different looks?
Different looks of how many safety looks, the different safeties rolling down. You know, whether you're playing a hard corner or a soft corner to different sets. Mm-hmm. You have to mix things up a little bit for them. Playing a passing offense like this, to me, is like playing an option style attack. If you just give them one look and they can get used to that one look and they figure out how to block it, and then the option teams can exploit you. Passing defense is the same way.
All right, well, that does it for us. For Coach Hand, I'm Jason Mackey. Titans and Presidents on Saturday, but stay tuned to Coach's Corner.